for the end. We'll get to them at the end. What's really good? Welcome back to another Friday Night Live of the Sanchez Show, and we are the Opinionated Ones. I got my brother Vernon Brownlee. I am Eric Sanchez. Happy New Year to everyone out there. Vern, I hope you brought in the New Year in style. I'm sure you did.
I'm chilling.
Listen, Vern is a very busy man. As I've alluded to before, he is the best defense attorney in the DMV area. And right now he's working on some other things. So we're only going to keep tonight's live to 1 hour. So by 10 p.m., Vern definitely got to go by 10 p.m. I may go a little past it if there are questions that need to be answered. But for the most part, we're going to try to keep this live to 1 hour. As I always tell you guys, we appreciate the love and support. We're going to get to every question in the comment section. And please make sure you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, head over to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. We go live every Friday night, 9 p.m. with NFL picks, with NBA talk. We answer any questions that are in the comment section. So we're going to get to the picks in a second. There are some NFL-related questions in the comment section I want to get to right away, though, Vern. So let's get to that, bro.
There's a lot of here today. That's interesting.
It's buzzing. Listen, and again, we appreciate everybody. It's the first Friday of 2024, so we want to kick off the year in style. I see the Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams questions, guys. We're going to get to those, and I am going to try to save them towards the end because I see we got about 3 or 4 of those already. So we'll save that towards the end. We're going to get to the main meat and potatoes of everything, the sports talk, so that way we can get our picks in there as well. Vern, I wanted to talk to you all fair about something, but I'm going to mention it on there.
You're right.
So I got a concept that I want to present. It's the Week 18 $5 in a Dream parlay. I think you and I should put it together. Now,
already got one.
There you go. See, look, you're thinking the same way I'm thinking. It's the Week 18 $5 in the Dream. We're going for a crazy parlay. So we'll text off air and we'll try to see if we can put one together before the games start tomorrow, because there are 2 games tomorrow before the full slate on Sunday.
I'm at like 30,000 right now, so
30,000 5 and a 30.
I'm at 30,000 odds. I'm not sure what that gets me, but the odds are around 30,000 right now. I'm probably going to juice. Give me the input. We can juice. I'm trying to hit something.
Let's get to the questions. Kyrie Thompson was the first question in here, but the first football-related question is Ron, who said, "What would missing the playoffs say about Josh Allen?" Nick Fangio, defensive coordinator on Josh Allen, he called him the new John Elway on steroids. But what would missing the playoffs mean for Josh Allen? For the people that aren't aware, if the Bills, first of all, the Bills play Sunday night, so everything will be laid out in front of them. They will know what their situation is going into the Sunday night game. But there is a very real possibility that if Pittsburgh wins tomorrow, along with the Colts and Jags winning, or the Texans and Jags, either combination of AFC South teams, it could put the Bills in a must-win situation Sunday night. What would it mean if Josh Allen cannot make the playoffs this year?
I mean, to me, it will be a big disappointment. I think it's going to lead to the dismantlement of the Buffalo Bills. I think Stephon Diggs probably gets traded in offseason. Head coach probably get fired. I'm not really sure about the GM, but remember, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Josh Allen and Mahomes were seen as the new Manning and Brady, and he has not lived up to the expectation. They have regressed. I think it means that Josh Allen just cannot be in the same sentence with some of the elite quarterbacks that we have in the league. He would definitely, for sure, be in that next tier without argument. I mean, you could probably argue that he should be in that next tier now, but definitely that next tier. Then, I mean, I don't think the Bills are going to win on Sunday anyway. If you look at their last game, they had like 4 turnovers, and not just 4 turnovers. I mean, 4 turnovers, right? Had the ball right pretty much at the goal line. They still only won by 6 points versus the Patriots. So it was like there's something not right about them. Like Josh Allen, passing yards down, chemistry's off. So we'll see, but I don't think they make the playoffs because I think they're going to lose. And along with all the other games that they need to, all other games, I feel like those teams are going to win. So
I think Buffalo does catch a little bit of a break because last week Miami, for whatever reason, left Bradley Chubb in the game. Bradley Chubb is injured. Miami had already lost their other defensive end, Jalen Phillips. So it's very possible that Miami, who's already clinched up a playoff spot, could take their foot off the gas if Buffalo jumps out quick on. because Miami's in a situation. Miami can't get the number 1 seed. At very best, Miami will be a number 2. So you're playing the following week no matter what. And if Buffalo, let's say, gets up 13-0 or 17-6 type scenario, Miami may kind of scale it back, knowing, hey, we got to play next week anyway. We don't want to run the risk of injuring anyone else. Also, let's not forget Jalen Phillips missed time earlier this year with a meniscus injury. Xavier Howard, the other corner, missed some time. So it's a very real possibility Miami calls the dogs off to preserve themselves for wild card weekend. But Josh Allen, you're absolutely right. Josh Allen has not looked good the last couple of weeks. Just to bring up the numbers, after that Philadelphia game that they lost in overtime, he struggled in the Kansas City game that they won. He threw for less than 100 yards in that Dallas game that they won, and that was all about their running game. The Charger game, he didn't look great in the first half. He looked better in the second half. And then last week, 15-30 for 169 yards. At halftime, he was sitting on, I believe, 36 yards at halftime last week. He has looked really, really bad. I know the emergence of James Cook has looked good for their offense, but they got a lot of questions. If this team wants to win in the playoffs and have a deep playoff run, it has to be Josh Allen. It has to be him doing the things that we've seen him do in the past, the scrambling around and the big plays down the field. We haven't seen any of that the last month from him. So to me, missing the playoffs is I think, one, the beginning of the dismantling of this roster. They went after Von Miller last year to be the last piece. That hasn't worked out. Stephon Diggs, yes, he's getting big money there, but they need other pieces. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this secondary, Micah Hyde and Poyer, one of those guys not be there next year if this team does not make the playoffs. The defense, I think, will be the first part of the team that will be dismantled. And in terms of him personally, it's a massive step down. Josh Allen has been to one AFC Championship game, and yet we put him in the level of the elite guys. But I think Joe Burrow has already surpassed him. I think Jalen Hurts is already better than him. We know Mahomes is the class of the league. I think Lamar is better than him at this point because now Lamar's about to rack up his second MVP in the league. So I've already named 4 or 5 guys that are better than Josh Allen, and that's not even to mention some of the young guys who are starting to emerge, like a C.J. Stroud, like a Trevor Lawrence, who I think are better than him as well.
He's a bum, but keep going.
Who's that?
Trevor Lawrence is a bum, but keep going.
I don't think he's a bum. He's still young. He's 3rd year in the league.
Okay.
Now, I think you're confusing him with Justin Herbert. We know how you feel about Justin Herbert. You see, I didn't mention Jay Herbo in that. I didn't mention Jay Herbo in that at all. Shout out to Will Gordon. Will gave me the heads up he wasn't going to be able to join tonight. But I didn't put Jay Herbo in there. All the guys I mentioned have playoff victories and probably even stronger playoff resumes than Josh Allen at this point. So I think this is a big Josh Allen game, and this could be a big Josh Allen moment moving forward. In that same game, Kavon wants to know, would a Miami loss mean anything? Dolphins have 19 players on the injury report. No, it would not mean anything because, again, as I mentioned, a win only guarantees them the number 2 seed. Now, a win would be great for Miami. They are 7-1 at home this regular season, so I'm sure they would love to play as many home games in South Florida, especially now that the weather is starting to turn at home. But a loss for them doesn't mean much because if they can regroup and get ready for wild card weekend, they still have an explosive enough offense that can make some noise in these playoffs. I don't think it changed anything. What you think, Vern?
The only thing that's going to change is that if they don't win a division, they're not going to win a playoff game. They're just not the same team on the road. They know that. And like I said, you get that team on the road in an outdoor stadium with inclement weather, they're a different team. So when people talk about playoff or home field advantages for people like Buffalo or who have like New York and have cold weather outdoor stadiums, I think Miami's in the same boat, just in the opposite direction. They want 70, 75 and dry, and they can just run and use your speed to beat you. But if they can't use their speed to beat you, they're very average, and that you can see that when they're not playing in sunny Miami, Florida. So a loss would just mean that they're going to have 0 playoff wins.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose this game again, as I mentioned, they were 7-1 at home during the regular season. They've been 4-4 on the road, but they got to go on the road. Obviously, their chances of winning the game are drastically decreased, but we'll see how that plays out. I like this question from Derek Thompson, and I had to look up the odds just to make sure. Surprised the Chiefs and Bills have the same odds. Now, the odds he's referring to are Super Bowl odds. To give you a heads up, Vern, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see them, but Super Bowl odds going into Week 18. San Francisco is the favorite right now at plus 210. The Ravens plus 310 are second. Dallas at plus 850 is third right now. And then right after Dallas, you have Kansas City and Buffalo both at plus 950. Philly is plus 1,200. Miami plus 1,400. Detroit plus 22. And then it completely starts to just get crazy after that. Are you surprised that the Chiefs and Bills have the same Super Bowl odds heading into Week 18?
No, they both have not looked good. I mean, they both haven't looked good. And to be honest with you, the only reason their odds are higher is because we expect more from those teams, right? Like, if you look at the Chiefs and you look at them with a mask on, right, you would say, why do they even have 950 odds? The only reason you're doing that is because you got to hedge the bet that people are going to still bet on Mahomes, right? And people are still going to bet on Josh Allen. They go, oh, this is their time. They're going to turn it on. So I'm surprised that their odds are as high, but not the same.
I think what I'm most surprised about is that Dallas does have better odds than Kansas City. Now, granted, Kansas City has not looked good for about 2 months now. But if you're asking me, and I'm Vern, I think you would agree with me. One game, who do you trust more, Mahomes and Andy Reid, or Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy? I'm going to trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Of course, but the most surprising thing about Dallas being higher is the fact they got to get through San Francisco.
Not only that's another aspect of it. Dallas hasn't clinched the division. Dallas has to win them all to clinch the division.
Well, they should. They're playing us, but also Dallas with from home is a different team. So if they're the number 2 seed, they should have to go on the road. Or you think San Francisco is going to beat whoever they play, right? They're likely going to go on the road, and we know what happened last time they went out to Santa. I mean, it's not even Santa Clara anymore. Is it still? It's not Santa Clara.
It's still Santa Clara.
Yes, they nothing went to Santa Clara. So, yeah.
I'm just, like I said, to me, I'm surprised. Now, granted, as you mentioned, yes, Dallas wins tomorrow. They're the number 2 seed. Kansas City would need to win and need help to be the number 2 seed because Miami could be in that spot.
They never had a playoff game on the road, the Chiefs, so that's going to be a new aspect.
But I don't put too much stock in that because I think that only affects them is if they're in a very tough, inclement weather type game. And even then, Kansas City isn't warm this time of year. Those home games they play aren't warm home games.
I don't think it's about the weather. It's about the fact that it's never happened, right? Like Mahomes has never played a playoff game on the road.
The Super Bowl games are on the road.
It's a neutral site.
I mean, those are road games. Well, when they played in Tampa, that might have been the one. That's the road game. When they played Tampa in Tampa.
How many does Mahomes have?
2. He's played in 3. He's won 2.
Right. I mean, but those are neutral site, neutral games. It's different.
To play devil's advocate, the one road game that you could consider is the Tampa Super Bowl when they lost to Tampa. That was in Tampa. So
but it'll still be neutral to me. But
no. But remember the crowd. That was a very.
The crowd was crazy. So I just said we'll see. It's a lot of different things going on. I wouldn't put my money on neither one of those teams. So
I agree. I don't think it's a good bet with either one of those teams. Now, granted, after Wild Card Weekend, we may change our opinion on one of those 2 teams. But going into it right now, I don't think you should bet Super Bowl odds on either one of them. Mm-hmm. Derek Thompson, Cowboys F game on the board. Dallas can clinch NFC East title with a win. I expect Dallas to handle business tomorrow. The Commanders have absolutely nothing to play for. Dallas, though Dallas can't be the number 1 seed, I don't see Dallas trying to backpedal into the playoffs. I expect them to jump out early, dominate early, and then rest their guys in the second half of this game. But Vern, let me know if you see it differently.
Bro, they're gonna beat the brakes off us. Like I said, I think what you say right is there. I think they try to go up like 28-0 and just take their starters out mid-3rd quarter. That's what I think they do. And I don't see why they shouldn't or why they couldn't. I know it's gonna rain a lot on Saturday, but Sunday it's gonna be fine. So if Dallas does not win this game, I will be pissed as a Commanders fan because my draft position. But Dallas should immediately fire Mike McCarthy after the season, regardless of what happens, unless he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got to get to the NFC Championship game. They got to get. I think it's put up a shutout time for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
it's the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I agree.
You win the number 2 seed, the path becomes easier to get there because at least you know that guarantees you 2 home games before potentially a matchup with the 49ers. But I also think if you're the Cowboys, not only do you want to just win them all to clinch up the number 2 seed, you prolong any possibility of playing the 49ers. You hope that Philly, who would drop to the number 5 seed, could take care of business against the 49ers in a second round matchup. And I know there's a long way to go between now and then, but if you're the Cowboys, that's the way you got to look at it. You hope that Philly is fully healthy going into a second round matchup with the Niners, and maybe they can beat the Niners or wear them down enough so that when you face them, you can take advantage. That's how you hope it. Before we get to the picks, again, shout out to all the supporters. The questions are great. We got a lot of questions. We're going to keep getting to them. Dontel Wright wants to know, should this be Belichick's last game in New England?
Absolutely. He's done nothing but structure a team that's not competitive. Defensively, they look okay, but I mean, as we know, the most important thing you can do as a coach and a GM, which Bill Belichick is to get the quarterback position correct. He has failed miserably. The team has failed miserably. This should be his last game in New England, and they should start a new regime.
I agree. I think Bill's last game should be this one. I think it will be this one. The fact that a reporter a couple weeks ago hinted at that about his future there. Normally, that's the first telltale sign when the media starts to let leaks out of what they know. Bill, I'm probably not as critical as some other people because I do think when you look at their defense, he's drafted well with their defense, but it's been a complete letdown with their offense. Whether it's Mac Jones, whether it's the receivers, whether it's the running backs, he has not built up a balanced team that has a chance to compete and be a playoff caliber team. They're going to hit the reset button again this offseason. We already know that. The fact that Bailey Zappi has started the last couple of games lets you know everything you need to know about Mac Jones' time with the Patriots. They're moving on from Mac Jones, which means the Patriots are going to hit restart again. And I think a new young head coach will take over there with Bill Belichick stepping to the side. But I don't think Bill is done coaching. Bill is too close to the all-time win record to stop coaching. I think he will keep coaching and try to go after Don Shula's record. Let's see what else we got. We got some good NBA questions in there too. Let me see. We got no more football. Let's get to some NBA questions, and then we're going to get to the picks. Hold on. I think there was one more too I wanted to get on the NFL side. We did that. Upset alert, that's picks. We're going to get back to that on upset alert. Let's get to this one, Vern, because I thought about you, Pauls, when I was watching this game yesterday. What do y'all think of Giannis and Wemby matchup last night? Giannis the teacher, but Wemby is scary. What did you think?
You know what's crazy? I didn't have an opportunity to really get into this game. I had a hearing today that I had to really prepare for. I caught some highlights, but you know how I feel about Wembanyama, so I think the people know that I think he's a top 10 player in the league. So nothing surprises me about him. He has flashes and things like that, but to Eric's point, and I give him credit here, he's still far away from being a dominant force in the league, such as Giannis. I mean, Wembanyama should be focusing on, of course, just building on his good performances and making sure that he is putting the Spurs in a position to win as many games as possible. But everyone knows he has the talent to do things and surprise people, I guess. So it doesn't really surprise me. It just lets me know that he has the potential, but also he still has a long way to go.
So watching that game yesterday, I tuned in and watched the whole game. It wasn't like I made sure I kind of focused on the game because I expected Wembanyama to be on a minutes restriction, which they said he was going to be on. But as the game went on, they kind of Pop let him go. I think him being with Pop and the Spurs is the best thing that could have ever happened because they are kind of saving him from himself. The kid is so talented and can do so many things. You can see why the hype was created around him. There were moments in yesterday's game where he would make such a phenomenal play on the defensive end and then make a spectacular play on the offensive end. And again, any other coach probably will let him go out there for 35 minutes a night, but Pop is smart enough to realize this is a long-term plan with this guy. There's no reason to wear him down now. We're not a playoff team. There's no reason to put unnecessary mileage on him. But he had the blocks yesterday. The two moments that stuck out the most to me were the block he had on Giannis late in the fourth, where Giannis tries to body him under the basket. And Giannis does push him under the basket. But at 7'3" and his athleticism, he's still able to recover and get the block shot right at the rim on Giannis. There's another play that's I'm sure is going to be circulating all over the place, where he's coming down on a fast break. Dame tries to cut in front of him. He puts the ball behind his back, full speed, and then dunks on Brook Lopez. There's nobody else in the league that can make that play. Like he's literally dribbling and leading a fast break, anticipates that Dame is going to try to cut in front with the swipe, puts it behind his back, and then dunks with his left hand over Brook Lopez. The sky's the limit for Wemby. Aside from injuries, I don't see how this guy is not a future multiple-time MVP in the league. I just think his game is so complete, and the ceiling is just at a place that we've never seen any player. Now, as I've said before, I don't agree that he's a top 10 player yet, but I think it is only a matter of time before he's a top 5 player in the league. The skill set and his ability to do things on both sides of the court is just too phenomenal right now. It's really going to be a matter of him staying healthy and putting on weight. So, Vern, you're going to be vindicated on that prediction. I just don't think this year. He's not a top 10 guy this year.
Okay. I'm trying to tell you, but at the end of the season, he's going to be, if you were naming 10 players you want on your team, he's going to be one of the 10. I can guarantee you that. And I told you that when the season started.
He's going to be there at some point. Absolutely. Again, we're going to get to the Cat Williams questions in a little bit. We want to get some of the sports talk out the way before we get to that. Pooh, shout out to Pooh. Shaq will become the first player in Magic history to have his jersey retired. Y'all OGs, how good was Magic Shaq? He was really, really good. I think obviously the Laker version of him was more polished and more dominant, but a young Shaq again was one of a kind. A guy with his athleticism, with his ability to get up and down the court and dominate. And you got to remember too, Magic Shaquille O'Neal really had to go head-to-head with probably one of the greatest eras of centers the NBA had ever seen. Night in, night out, when you look at some of the matchups, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo, and then the next level of centers, guys like a Rick Smits, who was still very good. There were a lot of guys in the league at that point at that center position. Shaq was dominating those guys still. Shaq was phenomenal, and I think Shaq would have won championships in Orlando if him and Penny would have stuck together. But we did see the better version of Shaq once he went to LA.
Yo, Shaq was – it was just crazy, right? Because he was like 7'1", but he was like built.
Yeah.
Not only was he built, he wasn't like slow and clunky. Like, he would be able to run the floor. And he was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a real live like Mack truck coming down the street. And it was just like, what are you going to do? It's like you hope the Mack truck misses or, whatever. But it was really hard to just guard him. He was, really just like an unstoppable force.
It was, I'll say this, I'll never forget. I think this was his second year in the league. Yeah, it was his second year in the league because this was the year that this was like second or third year in the league. But the year before Orlando went to the finals, the Knicks went to the finals and played Houston. And I'll never forget, this was a Sunday matchup. I was young, but Knicks were always my team, so I tuned in anytime. This was the NBA on NBC. You remember, Vern, they had the ill graphics.
Yeah.
And at the time, Pat was the best center in the East. There was no center better than Patrick Ewing in the East. And I believe Shaq gave him like a 25-20 game. Like when he really went at Pat. And that was the first time I remember looking at Shaq like, yo, this dude, he's the future. Because as you mentioned, all the other centers were kind of slow and just big and methodical, and the game slowed down around them. That's why when people look at the scores from that era, that's why the scores were always so much lower, because you slowed down the game for the big man. Shaq was the first guy that could really get up and down the court and physically dominate guys while still keeping that speed and that tempo. Shaq was one of one, and I'll never forget that it was a Sunday afternoon performance against Patrick Ewing where he dropped like a 25-20 and really dominated Patrick when Patrick was the best center in the East.
He He was 1-1. I've never seen anyone like him. I know people say, "Oh, Embiid is Embiid's dominance and Shaq's dominance are not even the same."
Yeah, it's not the same. Now, granted, Embiid is super skilled. That's not to knock Embiid.
Yeah, skilled, absolutely. But you're talking about a player that can literally enforce his will on anyone at any time.
Shaq. Not like Shaq. Shout out to Ron again. Looks like Luka and Curry will be the starters out west. Shea, Ant-Man are locks. So who gets left out? Morant, Booker, Kyrie, Fox. Who makes it? Who gets left off the way? Well, Morant is not going to make it. Morant's not going to have enough games, I don't think, to make it. And then after that, it gets tricky.
Different though, but because well, it looked like Fox probably get left out, to be honest with you. Fox, because Morant has more votes than Fox right now. I didn't know games. I thought it was about votes, even if he didn't play.
The reason. So if Luka and Curry are going to be the starters, then it's going to come down to the players' vote, and I don't see the players voting Morant over Booker and Kyrie. I think those two guys get in over Morant and Fox.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I was just going with Fox. I think he's definitely going to be off. Yeah, Booker, Kyrie, not only are they, skilled players, they're fan favorites. People know them popularity. I mean, Ja Morant is there too, but considering what's happened, how he hasn't played a large part of the season, I would go with Booker and Kyrie.
Yep. Ron also got another one regarding the MVP race. Currently, right now, we're showing Embiid, Joker, and Shea as the top three. Y'all know how I feel about that guy at number 3 from Oklahoma City. I don't think I got to say much there. But Vern, do you like that order?
You know what? As much as I don't want to say it, I gotta go with it. Shea is every time I turn in, it's like, dang, it feels like Shea heard what I said about him.
I think he did. He took it personal.
It's like, yo. However, I still gotta have my reservations on him right now during the season. Absolutely, right now. What I want to see is what every fan wants to see. I want to see late March, right, through the end of the season and the playoffs. How are you playing? Because to get my respect as a I guess like an upper level player, I need to see your performance in the playoffs. Because as we know, a lot of these regular season games don't matter. You're playing, bum team here. You're playing a team that's resting their players there. But what we know is that when the crunch time comes, everyone is serious. Everyone got their horses ready. How you gonna lock in? Like that performance against the Celtics the other day. If that's the playoffs, that ain't happening. It just isn't.
I think Shea is a special player. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. Shout out to my man Combo Score, because we had a debate about this when I was up in the city and we were on air. I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to have a real debate about Shea and Luka and who's the better point guard. That's just my personal opinion.
Shea's the better point guard than Luka.
That's how I feel as well. I think Shea is a much more complete player.
I don't think it's close. Luka's problem and with Joker's problem that he fixed, he is horrible in the pick and roll game. You cannot, as a point guard. Not only that, he's too ball dominant for me.
I agree with that.
You can't be both, because what happens is you're getting destroyed on defense and everyone's seeing it, but then on the offensive side of the ball, no one's getting involved. And it's like, I don't care if you put a 40 or whatever, you're getting cooked in pick and roll. Like they can stay in the same set all game because you cannot guard a parked car. So
I listen, you're preaching to the choir. I said the same thing. My whole thing with the debate between the two is I think Shea is a much more complete player than Luka. Yes. And I also think that when you look at Shea's situation with OKC, right, there are plenty of times where they run the offense where the ball isn't in Shea's hands. He's got to play off ball, but yet still be a contributor.
Yeah.
I don't think Luka could be a contributor if he did not have the usage rate.
He can't, because if he could, I think they would want to have Kyrie with the ball.
Kyrie as the primary, yeah.
Exactly. I think they would. But Luka on a wing, I don't think about it. How, like him cutting to the basket consistently, working off ball. I'm not sure if it's a conditioning thing or what, but to me, it's just, I would just attack Luka all game. Now, I think in the playoffs, that's what happens. I think they just wear him down. Look, we're going to absolutely, if you Luka, you want to have offense, fine. We're going to make sure when you get on defense, you're going to work every single play and just wear him down.
Yeah. So, but I do think by the end of this season, that's going to be a legit conversation. People are going to wonder if Shea is the better player, and I'm already on record as saying I think Shea is.
I want to see him in the playoffs, but we'll keep going from there.
Kevon wants to know. I know the Warriors have had players out, Draymond, GP2, sorry, but do y'all think Steve Kerr is doing a shaky coaching job? Has he lost a little mojo? I don't think he's doing a shaky job. I think what's happening is what happens to most teams that have a lot of tread on the tire. They're a team that has had several deep playoff runs. They're older. Their supporting cast isn't really living up to what they thought. And so he's trying to coach through that. To me, I don't think he's doing a shaky job. Their offense is still their offense. Like yesterday, they lose on a buzzer beater against Denver. But the problem is they don't have the supporting cast around their star player that they should have at this point. And a lot of that has to do with them sticking around with the veteran players like Draymond and Clay and Wiggins. Wiggins has not looked the same since he missed that time last year. So I think those are bigger factors than Steve Kerr's coaching.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, my theory on NBA coaching is if you don't have the talent, it don't matter how good of a coach you are. You've seen Luke Walton step in and had a phenomenal run on record, and he goes to another team and doesn't look the same, right? We've seen Pop with all his stars, and now what's going on? We've seen Monty Williams, and now he with the Pistons, and my goodness. So to me, coaching is okay, but I think for the NBA, coaching is about, situational matchups and awareness, key moments, rotations, those things matter. But in terms of whether or not Steve Kerr is doing a great coaching job, it don't matter. The league the NBA is about, do you have the talent to win games? After that, the coaching might be able to elevate you to, a little higher level, whatever. But you got to have the baseline. As what Eric said, when you got old vets, right, at this point in time, especially this time of the season, the effort might be inconsistent, injuries, rest, etc. So I don't think it's Steve Kerr. I never thought Steve Kerr was probably the best coach. I just think he had the most talent. Like a good coach to me in the NBA is like Eric Spoelstra, right? So, I mean, Steve Kerr just being Steve Kerr. Without these players, Steve Kerr would be bottom tier team, bottom tier record, etc. So that's just how I feel about the situation.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've never categorized Kerr as a great coach. I think he was smart enough to play to the strengths of their team and their talent. But ultimately, I also think what they're going through right now is also a testament to how good they were. Like most teams don't have that type of run. KD, we talk a lot about KD and what he did for their run. But when you look at the West as a whole, Phoenix was good for like 2 years and they fell off. Lakers were good for a year and a half, and the Lakers really haven't gotten back to where they once were, especially since the bubble. This is what happens to most teams. The league catches up. Your team gets a little older. Your team has more miles on it because every playoff run takes a little bit more out of you. It's an 82-game regular season. If you make a deep playoff run, you're playing over 100 games that year. So the Warriors have made about 6 deep playoff runs, 6-7 deep playoff runs. Clay, I saw somebody the other day commenting, it's so true. We're talking about Klay Thompson being completely washed up because he's looked bad for the last 2 years. Klay's only 33. But a lot of that has to do with all of those deep playoff runs. The mileage on his is not the same, right? But he's only 33. But again, we've made deep playoff runs damn near every other year. The guy's been on the court. Yeah. So it's more about that. I just think that they've worn down, and it is time to hit reset over there. They're going to have to figure that out because Steph is still playing at a high level, but the supporting cast is not. Kyrie wants to know, out of all the all-star players without a title, which players would you like to see get a ring? Vern, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't like to see players get rings. I like to see players earn them. I don't want to see nobody get no ring. If you grind and you deserve it, I will tip my cap to you. I mean, I guess if I had to go, I guess I'll say Jason Tatum. It doesn't seem like he's really taking any shortcuts. Like he's putting in the work, putting in the grind. So I would go with him, but my position remains the same.
I'll say, I mean, I agree with you. I want to see guys earn it. I want to see guys go through the grind of winning it. But if I had to pick one or two guys, I'm a big Embiid fan, so I would love to see Embiid at least go on a deep playoff run. Winning a ring would be great, but at least a deep playoff run with people. I don't think people appreciate how good Embiid is because he hasn't had that deep playoff run. And outside of Embiid,
Jimmy Butler. What about Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy. But I mean, Jimmy at least has been to 2 finals. So we've at least seen him on that stage, and he's performed well. It's not
That's
like
he deserves one, right? Like, I'm not saying he deserves one, but if he got one, it's like, all right, you've been putting in that work.
Yeah, I don't think with Jimmy, I don't think we'll ever have any regrets with his career. I think even if he never wins one, we'll say, hey, he got there and he performed well getting there. So that'll elevate him over some guys who kind of rode the coattails of other, great players. But Embiid for me, and I hope that Dame gets to play well in a deep playoff run for Milwaukee. If they win a ring, great, but at least play well so that no one could ever question, could you have risen to the occasion?
Questioning my boy Dame, but
Dame it's been shaky. It's been shaky. But listen.
Because my thing is it because remember before the season we talked about them having issues defensively, but I think someone else also talked about, I'm not sure if it was me or was you, but we talked about when you are expected to win, when your team is on TV, it's different when you just playing on the West Coast time and you playing and no one's seeing you and you all right, Dame time. But it's different when you're like, okay, you got another bona fide, player on your team that everyone's going to come and watch and who has, championship pedigree. Are you going to be able to perform, or is it just him getting older, or is it a combination of the three?
I think it's a little bit of the three. I think it's, yes, you're older, but you're also in a situation where there are expectations. And when you played in Portland, yeah, people watched, but there was never that, hey, you guys are a championship team, you have to perform. We were all just happy with the fact that he played well. He was always the underdog. All those big shots he hit in the playoffs, if he doesn't make those shots, nobody is criticizing him and nobody's going crazy about it because it's like you guys weren't expected to win those games anyway.
Yeah.
But now you're expected. The expectation is different, and I don't think he has risen to the occasion yet.
Different.
Yeah, he hasn't risen to the occasion. Listen, we're going to get to the picks right now, guys, and I'm going to save some of these Club Shay questions for right at the end. Again, we appreciate all the love and support. Hope everyone's New Year's off to a great start. Make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show on YouTube. We go live every Friday night, 9 p.m. I'm also working on something new to bring to the table, but we'll shelve that for that time. Let's get to some of these picks. I want to start here with Ron's question before we get to the actual picks over. Who's on upset alert for Week 18? Give me a team that you think could be upset this week.
Ooh, a team that could be upset. So Week 18 is always a little weird because you got teams, but you know what? I think people need to look out for the Ravens versus Steelers game. I understand the Ravens are resting their players, but I think the Steelers could lose this game. I truly think so. Even the Ravens have absolutely nothing to play with. So I would, because the Ravens are in this game, they're the underdog. I would tell the Steelers fans to watch out for the Baltimore Ravens and beating them. Tell me.
I don't want to disagree with you on that because it's a rivalry game, and if you're the Ravens, you probably love nothing more than to bump Pittsburgh from playoff contention. If they beat Pittsburgh, the season's over.
Hell yeah. And Pittsburgh, it started Mason Rudolph, so it's not like this is Big Ben coming in there.
Right. Also, for Tomlin, you've got the streak on the line. He's never had a losing season. So if you lose this game, this becomes your first losing season as a head coach. I'm sorry. They'll be 9-8. I was thinking they were 8-8 coming in. They would be 9-8. So it's still a winning season for Mike. I apologize for that. But if you're Baltimore, you would love nothing more than to eliminate your division rival. there are two games I'm looking at that I think are upset alert, and they're for two teams that got something to play for. I could see Seattle losing to Arizona. Seattle has not played well the last couple of weeks. They looked bad last week against Pittsburgh. They got to go on the road. Kyler Murray right now is going to play this game, and Kyler Murray I expect to play the full four quarters because he's got to get himself ready for next season. So that's one game. And the other game, Chicago at Green Bay. Chicago would love nothing more than to eliminate Green Bay from the playoffs. That is a rivalry game. Green Bay has dominated Chicago for years, and it's the first time probably since the Brian Urlacher days that Chicago is respectable. I would not be surprised if Justin Fields, they go into Lambeau Field and upset Jordan Love and them and knock them out of the playoffs.
You know what? That's the game I got circled. I think that's going to be the most entertaining game of the day. I can't wait to watch that one. Because what I want to see for real, I want to see Justin Fields again up close because, he's been hot the last, back half of the season. But I really want to see how he performs and plays in his game because Ryan Poles has some big decisions to make. Boy, oh boy. But I would love to be in his position, but he got some big decisions to make.
I think they stay with Justin Fields. Let's talk about that real quick because I know how you feel about Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I think Justin Fields has shown enough that you at least say, now I know it gets tricky because after next year, going into next season, you got to make the decision on picking up the fifth year for Fields. I think he's shown enough, and I also think that a team within that division kind of has shown you the pathway. What Detroit has done with Jared Goff as their quarterback has been just load up on talent everywhere else. We're not going to worry about the quarterback position. We're going to get skill position players. We're going to get D-line. We're going to do all those other things, and we're worried about the quarterback position last. If you're the Bears, you're going to have the number one pick in the draft. Do you think you have to take the quarterback now, or do you take the skill guy like a Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do you go take a D lineman now? Do you go take someone else and say, look, let's just at least run it back and roll it over for a year or two with Justin Fields?
If I'm the GM, I'm not going to run it back with Fields. And the reason why I'm not going to run it back with Fields is I don't think his ceiling is Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think he could be a quarterback that you won't look terrible with, but I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to elevate the game of others on a consistent basis. Now, just because I don't think I want Fields doesn't mean that I'm going to draft a quarterback number one in this particular draft, right? I don't have to draft a quarterback in this particular draft, but if I'm the GM, I've already made my mind up that Justin Fields is not going to be my quarterback. Now, if you like a quarterback in the draft, you should take him. I don't think no quarterbacks in the draft really going to be that great. But the reason why you take them now is because when are you going to have the number one pick again? Justin Fields, even if he's terrible next year, to have the number one pick, you have to be awful. Like, the only reason they got the number one pick because the Panthers are just, they just can't get out of their own way, right? So you think, okay, if I don't take him now, next year I'm going to trade up and maybe give up a future first-round pick just to get a guy. Also, you still right now, Justin Fields feels hot. You might be able to get some trade bait, right, to help you further fill out your team. But to me, I don't think you can just stay with him because even if Justin Fields has let's say 8-8, 9-8 season next year and they make the playoffs and win a game, are you going to give him Justin Herbert money? You're going to give him Lamar?
No, not yet. Not.
I'm saying is that's what you're going to have to do because what if he comes in and says, I want Lamar Jackson money? What are you going to do then? You're going to franchise tag him? You're going to trade him then for what? People know that you got to get rid of him, that you got to sign him to a contract. So now you really can't really trade him because no one's going to want to trade and then do a sign and trade. So I think you got to pull the trigger. I think you got to pull the trigger this year. I think you have no choice.
So let me ask you, so number one pick.
Yeah.
You're saying don't take the quarterback?
I think if you're the Bears, then you have to take the quarterback.
So who's the quarterback then? Are you taking Caleb? Because here's the thing too, right? This is why I use the Lions as an example. I think that the Bears are in a good enough position where when you look at the rest of the talent on their roster, they have some talent there. You can say, look, let's roll over this decision till next year at least. and we're going to continue to load up the skill position. You got DJ Moore already in the fix. You got Cole Kmet, who's a really good tight end. You got some good pieces on defense. If we're taking a quarterback number one, then the expectation is that this guy's going to take over. Because I just can't see a scenario where you would draft a quarterback number one and then still keep Justin Fields on the roster.
I mean, Eric, that solution is not a bad solution. That's probably where they're going to go. The issue is if you roll it over and Justin Fields comes back to what he was before and they go 6-10, and now you're picking number 8 in the draft to go get your quarterback now. Like I said, to me, I think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in college football. I feel like he came out this year. I would have drafted him and been comfortable with him. However, you want to go get your guy now. Now you got to give up 2 first-round picks to go get that guy.
Right, but we've seen there have been both ways. So there have been teams who draft their quarterback, and then there are teams who go trade for their quarterback. So I think that you can still roll over this decision and then make the trade for your quarterback later, whether it's a draft day trade where say, hey, we're giving up 2 firsts to move up, or the veteran who's in a situation where it's like it can't work anymore and now he's available. I just don't know if you can draft. You're not drafting Shedeur number 1.
He's not coming out this year, but
even if he was coming out this year, and that's not a knock against Shedeur, we're just talking draft value. You would not take Shedeur number 1. That's not great draft value.
He's the best quarterback in college football.
It's still not great draft value, though.
Yeah.
Because Shedeur isn't a number 1. Shedeur cannot start day 1 for you, I don't think. I think Shedeur needs a little bit of time. So to take him number 1, it's not, that's why
better than everyone coming out the draft this year.
Cool. So you're telling me he would start day 1?
I mean, he's better than anyone else coming out the draft. So
that's
I mean,
not my question though for you, Ron. My question is,
why wouldn't he start day 1?
Because just because you're drafting number 1 doesn't mean you're ready to start day 1. I think Shedeur still has things in his game that need to be fixed.
Not any more than any other quarterback in this draft this year.
Cool, but that doesn't mean you start day 1.
But if you're drafting him number 1 overall, he might not start day 1 anyway because you still have Justin Fields.
Right, and that's back to my point. Then I don't think it's a healthy situation to have Justin Fields, a guy who was already a high first-round pick, who has played well this season for you, and then have Shedeur sitting behind him.
I mean,
then if you do that, right? That's really like a situation where if you do that, and then Justin Fields comes in next year and builds on what he's already done this year and plays even better. Now Shedeur sitting for 8, 9, 10 games, and now you start to question like, did we waste the number 1 pick on a guy who may not even play for us now because Justin Fields is playing so well?
I get it. I think they're going to ultimately stick with Justin Fields because it's the safer play and it buys you time. I think they're going to do what you said. Kick down the road. We'll figure out later. We're going to draft Marvin Harrison number 1. And I think they should draft Marvin Harrison number 1. And the reason why I think they should do that is because the Commanders at number 2 could take Marvin Harrison at number 2. And if I'm the Commanders, I would. And the reason why I would is because if I can get a Hall of Fame player, I don't care what position they play, I'm going to draft them. If I collect enough Hall of Fame players on my team will be successful. And to me, Marvin Harrison is the most surefire Hall of Famer in this draft.
So the Commanders, I think, are in a different position. I'm a big Marvin Harrison fan. I think Marvin is going to be a star the moment he touches down in the league. But if you're the Commanders, you're going to have a new head coach in place. Obviously, you got new ownership in place. The quarterback position is the position you want. You want the guy who is going to be potentially the face of the franchise for the next 10 to 12 years. And if the Bears don't take him, Caleb Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, he's a local kid, right?
He is.
You got to take Caleb Williams. If you're the Commanders and Caleb Williams is sitting at number 2, I know how you feel about him, Vern, and I know we'll have some intense conversation about him if this happens. But if he's sitting at number 2, there is no way that the Commanders can have him.
They're going to take him. Yes, they're going to take him. I would not do
that. I think that's the way it's going to play out. I think if you're the Bears, I think you add Marvin Harrison to DJ Moore, and you say, Justin Fields, we've given you all the tools now. There's no reason that this can't work. We've given you a good tight end. We've given you 2 exceptional wide receivers. We building the defense up, and now also the Ohio State connection as well, because Justin Fields went to Ohio State. I'm sure him and Marvin Harrison have had several conversations in the past. You give him that toy, and then you go from there.
I agree.
So let's get to the picks though. Let's get to the picks. I know we're gonna wrap up within 10 minutes. Let's go down quick. Let's go through the Saturday games. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Pittsburgh is favored by 3 in Baltimore. What do you like?
I already told you that.
You like Baltimore with the upset?
The Ravens win. I think the Ravens win this game.
Oh, I want to give you your kudos too, because the last couple of weeks I haven't done this, but I went back and looked at what we did last week. So you went 13-3 outright last week.
Damn, really?
You was on fire last week.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. I didn't even bet last week. No, I did. I put it together, but yeah, I didn't bet straight up.
You went 12-4 against the spread last week.
Wow, I didn't know.
It was a great week for you. Yeah, you missed the opportunity.
I had a parlay that I missed. You know why I missed the parlay? You want to know why I missed the parlay? You want to know why I missed the parlay? Philadelphia Eagles money line. Yeah. My $10 would have got me $579. I had a crazy joint going. And you know what's so crazy? I had 5 touchdown scores on my parlay, and one of my touchdown scores was Ayuk. And I wasn't even looking at it because I was like, man, the 49ers up by so much. And when Ayuk caught that joint in the back of the end, I said, we in the game, baby. And then what did the Eagles do? That's the only thing I missed.
Yeah. I had Philly on a ticket last week as well, and they missed. But yeah, I agree with you on that. But you went 13-3 outright. You went 12-4 against the spread last week. I went 12-4 outright. I went 10-6 against the spread last week.
You know the best. They said the best do 55-60%.
Yeah, we've been doing way above 55. Yeah, and
that's crazy.
Going into the playoffs next week, I'm gonna have the total for the season, so that we'll see where we ended off at. But this was just from last week 17. Will had a good week as well. He went 10-6 outright last week. So we all were picking winners. We were dead on about the 49ers last week as our 401k pick of the week. We knew that would hit. So that was easy money. You have Baltimore, like you said, as a possible upset. I like Pittsburgh. I think Baltimore's going to sit everyone. They have nothing to play for. Pittsburgh is going to be desperate. They'll try to win. Also, Pittsburgh winning, again, sets the table because then it forces and it puts pressure on Miami for that Sunday night game.
Buffalo.
The second game of the day, Texans at Indianapolis tomorrow night. That's a primetime game. Texans are favored by 1.5. I like the Colts. Yes, I'm very biased on this.
I want to see you going to go.
Listen, I'm biased on it, of course, but I'll also say this. I used this logic a couple weeks ago, and you talked me out of it, Vern. I told you, division rivals at home as the underdog normally favor an outright win. Colts getting the 1.5. I'm not going to call it disrespectful, but I will say the Colts are catching the Texans at the right time because C.J. Stroud missed some time. I don't know if he's fully healthy, so I like the Colts.
So you taking this outright or are you covering?
I like it outright. I think the Colts win outright. They beat the Texans earlier this season, and that was in Minshew's first start. I think the Colts offense is better now that Minshew has started most of the season.
Man, I would not bet this game.
I'm gonna stay away from it as a fan.
I don't really like the game. But if the game is close, give me the better quarterback. Texans win 27-23.
Real quick, winner of this game not only has a chance to win the division, but do you feel the coach automatically becomes coach of the year?
Oh, you already know how I feel about coach of the year. You know who it should be.
Stefanski.
Stefanski. It's no doubt. It's okay. Not even.
I'm just saying we won't get into too much of a debate on that because I know we're running low on time. But both these guys are rookie head coaches.
We can talk about it.
No, it's up to you. If you want to wait till next week when we got more time,
you can talk about it. I mean, because it cannot be Shane Steichen.
Why can't it be Shane Steichen?
It can't be, man. Like then y'all play the NFC South this year, y'all division. Wasn't that your NFC division y'all supposed to play this year?
We played.
Y'all played the Saints and the Bucks, right?
Did we play that? That's who we played this year.
I think y'all played the NFC South. I'm not sure. I think y'all
probably did. Let me double check. Hold on. I'm trying to. We did play the Saints.
I think I played the Bucks.
Played this year.
Played the Bucks. I know the Texans played the Bucks.
Yeah, we did because we played the Saints. We played the Falcons.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all schedule this year was a little soft. I mean, it's just what it is. Outside of y'all divisions and outside the NFC South, I mean, y'all played the Panthers. I mean, y'all should have lost to the Panthers. I mean, to me, yeah, he did okay, and he helped. But Gardner Minshew is an established good backup quarterback in the league,
Correct.
right? He is. He's not like he took like someone like Brock Purdy, someone who's just an absolute unknown rookie X1Z. So I don't think he wins it at all, because I think what's my boy name? How do you win his name? It's not D'Amico. No, not D'Amico Ryans. How do I get my boy name? The Texas head coach.
D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico Ryans. Okay. So D'Amico Ryans, like, he's done, in my opinion, a better job considering the expectations than Shane Steichen. So I think he's below that. But the reason why Stefanski is the coach of the year is because they have more of their money or player contracts on IR than any other player in the league. But not only that, at the most important position that we all agree in the toughest division that we all know, they have beat the Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
They was able to possibly get a number 1 seed. They beat the 49ers. They had 4 different starting quarterbacks this year. And he's had to keep all of that together through just not even knowing who their starting quarterback was going to be the next week. I mean, it's different. He had Deshaun Watson all year. Okay, fine. But when you lose him, you got, DGB and you got PJ Walker playing, you're not expected to win those games. But they found a way to win those games because of the way that they coach. It wasn't just him. It was they lost Coughlin, they lost Jones, they lost Nick Chubb. It was a series of players, key players. And the fact that he was able to do it in AFC North, to me, getting Joe Flacco off the bench and being able to coach him up to be not just a comparable quarterback, but a quarterback where you make the Douglas from the GM for the Jets, like he should get fired, because you're like, how don't you have him on our roster knowing our quarterback situation? Because you're thinking, right, if you're the Jets, hey, Flacco should be, if he's here, we're probably in the playoffs, especially possibly in the AFC East. So that's why I think it's Stefanski, and there's no other questions.
So for me, Stefanski has done a good job, but this is more about their defense. Let's not forget, historically, this is going to rank as one of the top 10 to 12 defenses of all time in terms of what they've done in the regular season. The second part is, what happened?
He's still the head coach.
Yeah, but he has no impact on the defense. He's an offensive mind. So the defense has bailed him out a lot more than we probably have even recognized yet so far. The next part of that is the talent on this roster is still elite level talent. This was a team that was already projected to win 10 games before the season started. So granted, the quarterback position is the most important position, and losing guys at quarterback does hurt. But when we looked at this team to start the season, and we looked at all the talent they have on defense, this is why we expected this team to be in the mix. When you look at their point differential and you look at what they've given up point-wise, this has been about their defense. They're a plus 51 after 16 games. So they haven't been blowing teams out. This has been about their defense winning close games for them, specifically like that 49er game, where their defense manhandled the 49ers and won a game where their backup quarterback couldn't even get to 20 yards passing. So the reason why I'm not trying to knock Stefanski, but to me, the reason why Steichen gets it is Steichen took over a team that was projected to win 6 games this year. They lose their starting quarterback in week 2. The star running back has been in and out the lineup all year, and I don't think Jonathan Taylor's even played more than 6 games all year. Missing wide receivers all year, a no-name defense. Both units on this team, offense and defense, rank in the bottom half of the NFL. There isn't a unit on the Colts team where you can say, hey, that's an elite defense that's helping them win. They are a minus 15 in point differential. They have yet somehow found a way to hang around. And if they win this game tomorrow and win the division, I don't see how you can go with Coach of the Year for anyone else. They were projected to be a last place team in their own division. If they win the division, granted, you can.
It's so bad.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they win 10 games.
It does matter, though.
No.
How can you say it doesn't matter?
You play who's in front of you.
Okay, that's fine. But doesn't mean that me as a observer of the game, how I can quantify your wins. They play
quantify them based on the talent you have and the talent that you're beating. They're not better than the Jaguars, but if they win a division over the Jaguars, that's not saying something.
Jaguars have not looked good. Okay, look at the Jaguars record outside the AFC South. They don't beat nobody. Every time the Jaguars play someone outside the AFC South, I bet against them every single time. They haven't looked good.
So we're gonna hold it against Shane Steichen that they went to Baltimore and beat the Ravens.
Huh? So what happened?
Because we're talking about who they played. They went to Baltimore and beat the Ravens.
I'm not holding that against them. What I'm saying,
they played the Browns. They played the Browns and lost by 1. These are teams that are more talented than them, and they're hanging tough with them and beating some of them.
And that's perfectly fine.
Shane, however, no disrespect to Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski has no input on the success of the Browns.
He's
because
the head.
The fact that their defense is carrying them has nothing to do with Kevin Stefanski.
But him as the head coach is the reason why they win games, right? I don't know what's going on in means or how it's structured. But as a head coach, his job is to make sure his players are ready to play every time he sees one goes down, how to keep them going, how to keep them motivated. And now with the way that he's been coaching and got Joe Flacco on board, his players are probably like, oh, we've really got a real shot at winning this now because we got someone who's actually at the quarterback position who's competent. That's head coaching.
Shane Steichen can say the same thing. We built this whole thing up to be Anthony Richardson, and then we had to go with Gardner Minshew.
And he's had him all year.
We built this thing up to give it to Jonathan Taylor, and then we had to give it to Zach Moss. Oh, then Zach Moss goes down, so now we're playing with the third string running back.
That's not the same.
The Colts have no The Colts have no Pro Bowlers on their team. If they win tomorrow and have 10 wins with a team with no Pro Bowlers on their team, you can't tell me that isn't more impressive than Kevin Stefanski, who has multiple Pro Bowlers on his defense and has a Pro Bowl caliber receiver in Amari Cooper.
No, because Steichen would have 7 wins in any other division. They would have 7 wins in any other division. 7.
It doesn't matter about that. It doesn't matter. That does not, because we see teams all the time who have talent who don't live up to the talent. The Chargers had a lot of talent. Did they live up to their talent?
Because they got Justin Herbert.
No, because they have Brandon Staley as a head coach, who we probably agree was one of the worst 3 coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Right? We look at the Seahawks. The Seahawks got a lot of talent. See why the Seahawks ain't playing well?
Their quarterback situation is really rough.
Oh, so what I'm saying, the Colts could say the same thing. It would have been super easy for Shane Steichen. If the Colts were sitting at 6 wins right now, nobody would have even made a second guess at it, because that's what we expected them to be. 6 wins, 5 wins, young team. The fact that, again, both units, offense and defense, rank in the bottom half of the league. They are a minus 15-point differential. They have no Pro Bowlers on this team. And yet somehow, if they win tomorrow, they will have 10 wins. I think that is far more impressive than what Stefanski has done with a team that has multiple Pro Bowlers.
They're playing the sorry AFC South and the NFC South. Literally
they were underdogs in most of those games. They were the underdog in most of those games.
The worst divisions in the NFL.
So let me ask you, how does that? And you're still the underdog in most of those games.
Because you're valuing Kevin Stefanski to be as being a head coach because of the wins that he has. That's fine, but the wins that he has are against teams that don't beat anybody. I mean, they're just not good.
They beat the Ravens. How don't they beat anybody? They beat the Ravens in Baltimore.
It was week 2. Yes, they did.
That was week 3. It wasn't week 2.
Week 3. It was
right.
ugly.
Hold on. I'm glad, and I wanted to highlight that because you took the bait now, counselor. Because when the Browns beat the 49ers in week 4, we don't say, oh, it was week 4. We say the Browns beat the 49ers.
They beat them.
All right, and they beat them in Cleveland. They didn't have to go to San Fran to beat them.
What I'm saying, because the Browns are beating teams that are, in my opinion, teams that are good teams. The Colts.
Who? I'm looking at the Browns schedule right now.
Their division. Look at their division. Their division is legitimate.
All right. Hold on. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Last week they beat the Jets.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. The week before that, they beat the Texans with no CJ Stroud.
Okay.
The week before that, they beat the Bears. They're not a playoff team.
The Bears were hot at that point in time. Keep going.
No, the Bears flip-flop wins for about 6 weeks. The week before that, they beat the Jaguars.
Okay.
The week before that, they got blown out by the Rams. The week before that, they got blown out by the Broncos. The week before that, they beat Pittsburgh 13-10.
Yeah. They didn't have no quarterback. They literally
hold on. I'm into early November. We have not yet named a quality team that they played. We've given the Browns credit. The Browns played a 4th place schedule. They played a last place schedule.
They quarterback shuffling through the whole thing. They literally had PJ Walker, Dorial Green Beckham. And they're still winning.
I don't think his last name was Beckham, but I know you're talking about.
What's his name?
Dorian Thompson. It was Dorian Thompson. Right, hold on, bro. Hold on. I know you got to go because we don't want to drag out the live too long. You got Stefanski. I have Shane Steichen. We'll see how it plays out over this weekend. I think this weekend will factor into who wins Coach of the Year. But Bucks at Carolina. Bucks are favored by 4.5. I've got the Bucks. Bucks do need to win to get in because it secures their division. Carolina has nothing to play for because they don't get the draft pick anyway. But Carolina's been bad. I've got the Bucks.
You got the Bucks minus 4.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go there, Bucks. I go for Bucks minus 4.5. I go there with you.
All right. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cincinnati also is another team that's not really playing for anything other than bonuses at this point. Cleveland is securing their spot. However, I expect Cleveland to play their starters because Cleveland can't get a bye week. I think they're going to try to roll in with as much momentum as possible. Also, as you mentioned, Joe Flacco still needs as many reps as possible going into the playoff. I like Cleveland to win this game and blow Cincinnati out.
You know, Cleveland is plus 7.5, right?
I'm sorry. I said it wrong. Yes, you're right. Cincinnati is minus 7. So Cleveland, I like them to win outright.
I'm taking the Browns to cover.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening in that game.
I don't think. To me, I don't think Cincinnati has anything to play for. I think Cleveland does have something to play for because I think Cleveland wants to build up momentum going into the playoff. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit's minus 3.5. Detroit, on the other hand, has nothing to play for. They've already locked up their division. Minnesota, I expect to at least have a showing in this game. I like Detroit to win, Minnesota to cover.
Who's starting quarterback? Is it Nick Mullins for Minnesota now?
Nick Mullins, yeah.
Because Jaron Hall, boy, woo-wee.
I got Detroit to cover. Minnesota to cover, Detroit to win.
I'm taking Detroit minus 3.
Fair. Jets at New England. New England minus 2.5. We already highlighted. We think this could be Bill Belichick's last game. I like the Jets as outright winners in this one as well.
You got who minus 2.5?
I got New England as minus 2.
Oh, okay. They minus 1.5. Okay, yeah, I'm taking New England here.
Two bad teams. It doesn't really matter. Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans has to win this game. Also, this is going to be at the same time that the Bucks are playing in Carolina. I got the Saints winning and covering the 3.
You know what's so crazy? I'm gonna take Falcons plus 3 here. Man, Dennis Allen and Derek Carr are just a disaster. I think they choke in this game. I'm gonna take Falcons plus 3.
I can see it. It's a rivalry game. Maybe Atlanta plays spoiler in this one.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it. Seattle at Arizona. Seattle is favored by 3. I've already said I think Arizona wins this game and spoils the season of Seattle. They've been so inconsistent all year. I think it's only right they lose this game on the road.
Yeah, I really wanted 3.5 here. So I'll take Arizona plus 3, but I would really want to see this to get to 3.5.
You could juice it up a little bit, but I like Arizona.
For what we're doing, I gotta take the line as it is. So I'm gonna take Arizona plus 3.
Right. The next one also I like as an upset. I like the Bears going into Green Bay minus 3. Justin Fields is playing really well. Jordan Love has also been playing very well, but if you're the Bears, this is your one chance to get revenge on Green Bay, who's kind of tormented you for the last 10 years. You could go into Green Bay, upset them, and knock them out of the playoffs. I like the Bears.
Green Bay -3. I think Green Bay knows how to play Justin Fields better than most teams, and I think they are going to be able to slow him down a bit.
Okay. And you said, just to go back, you said you had Arizona covering against Seattle, right?
Yeah, +3, yep.
All right. Chiefs at Chargers. Chargers favored by 3.5. Chiefs are secure in their spot. They could get up to the number 2 spot. Chargers have nothing to play for. I like the Chiefs to try to get momentum going into the playoffs.
Chiefs barely beating anybody, man.
That's a fact.
Even when they really ready to play, I mean, the Chargers are just. You know what? Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chargers to win. I think the Chiefs keep it close.
You like the Chargers to win that one?
I'm taking the Chargers to win. I'm taking the Chiefs to cover. Right now I got at 3.5. I think it's a 3-point game. So I got Chargers money line, Chiefs cover.
Got you. Broncos at Vegas. There's nothing on the line here. Vegas is -3. I'm leaning with Vegas here. I think Antonio Swift out.
3?
I show it at 3.
Yeah, I'd say it's Vegas just being lazy. Games that don't matter. They just put them at 3. Like
yeah, yeah, that's what it seems like. A lot of games are right at 3, 3.5, right there.
So Broncos. I'm gonna go with Stidham. I rode the Stidham train last week. I'm gonna ride the Stidham train again.
There we go. Eagles at Giants. Philly is -5.5. I like the Giants to cover. I think Philly wins.
I'm taking Giants +5.5 too, man. And you know what's so crazy? I don't know if Philly wins.
I think Philly has to win, but I don't think it means anything at this point. They're going to be what to me. The reason I like the Giants in this one is that Philly game and the Dallas game are going to coincide time-wise. If Dallas is up big as you and I expect, Philly will know that we can't win the division. They'll start to rest guys in preparation for Wild Card Weekend. So that's why I think the Giants cover the 5.5, and I think the Giants outright win could be in play as well.
Yeah. Giants +5.5 to me is one of my stronger bets. So Giants +5.5.
Yeah. Rams at San Fran. I show San Fran favored by 4. San Fran has nothing to play for. So I'm really surprised by the line. What do you think, though?
But the Rams are locked in their people too. Rams can't do it, and they said they're gonna rest. They don't care if they don't care where they fall. They in. You know, they're older team. They're probably gonna rest their workhorse, Kyron Williams, too. So I'm gonna go San Francisco -4 here. I just think the Rams are a team who they legitimately do not care. You know, like the 49ers are a better team. So I'm gonna take the 49ers to cover here. I think the Rams will come out there. They don't care if they get beat 24-0, right? I think they're like, get us healthy, and we'll show you what we can do later.
The Rams are going to use this as a bye week. They're going to sit all their every significant player on their team will not suit up for this one. The 49ers will win just by default. Also, I would not be surprised because Kyle Shanahan has been in this position before. I wouldn't be surprised if Shanahan at least lets the starters play a quarter, just so that they're not too rusty. Because remember, they're going to be off the following week anyway. So he might let them play a quarter and a half, and then kind of rest his guys. I like San Fran as well there. We're not doing, and just a heads up, guys, we're not doing 401k pick this week because week 18 is super tough to predict who's even going to play. So we're not going to do.
You know what a 401k is, though? Cowboys.
Well, that's the next game. That's the reason why I said we're not doing 401k. But Cowboys -13. I have not seen this. I've not heard this. So let me know if I'm wrong. I don't know if there's ever been a situation where a team has been underdogs by this many points in back-to-back weeks. Because last week they were not only underdogs at home. Last week the Commanders were underdogs by -13. This week again 13 points. I like the Cowboys. I know you like the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy? I wouldn't take the spread here.
No.
And the reason why you don't take the spread here, because they get up big, they're going to take everybody. And we could, we could rally back. Make this not a win game, but we'll come within 10. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet the spread here. I would just, if you want to tease Cowboys 3.5, something like that, or 4.5, whatever, fine. But this is one of those games where a backdoor cover will be in play.
Absolutely, I agree. I think again, Dallas and Philly will both be watching the scoreboards. If Dallas is up big and they know the division is sealed up, they will call off the dogs. Everyone will rest. If they feel they need to keep it on, they will, but I don't think they will. I think they jump out quick on the
And the one thing that you're going to have your favor if you want to have the Commanders cover is if Dallas gets up big, but they don't want to take their players out, they'll just run the ball, and chew that clock. And to get a lead, to beat somebody by 13.5, you got to be scoring. You got to be scoring quite often. So if you get a drive or 8 minutes and they just running down your throat, they still get 7 points at the end of the day. So I wouldn't pick Cowboys to cover that spread just because of the
I think if I'm not gonna I probably won't include this in any ticket, but if I change my mind come Sunday, I will definitely bring that line down. Just for the sake of the debate we're having right now, I'm taking Dallas. And then the Sunday night game, Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo is -2.5. For Miami, as I highlighted earlier, yes, it would be great to win the division, but more importantly, Miami needs to go into the playoffs healthy. They've already lost both their defensive ends. They have Raheem Mostert, who was out last week. Jalen Waddle's been dealing with all the injuries. I think Buffalo wins, gets into the playoffs, and win the division. What do you think?
Miami +2.5.
Hey, I'm not mad at it if they do. Vern, I know you got to go. Do you want to get into this Cat Williams interview, or do you want to save it?
I can do it. I can do it. I've been moving some things around. I've been,
We're going to go. All right, 10 minutes tops. We're going to end it at 10 minutes. I'm going to post all the questions about Cat, and we're going to give our thoughts on it. So let me just go back up. I appreciate everybody who's rocking with us tonight, who's being patient with us. Keep in mind, guys, we wanted to end it by 10 o'clock, but we went a little over. The questions have been great. So Kyrie wants to know. He was the first question tonight. I want your thoughts on Shannon Sharp's interview with Cat Williams that's taken over. Save this for the very end of the show. That's what we're doing. Kavon wanted to know about Will Gordon's take, but Will's not with us tonight, guys. I commented that, but we're going to give you our thoughts on Cat. Let me see what all the other questions are as well. I want to make sure I add them all here. Who wanted to know? She said, I might get flagged for this, but I believe everything Cat Williams is saying. She said Will Gordon don't like him. Will don't like a lot of people, so don't read too much into that. And then the most recent comment we had, two most recent, Dontel Wright, behind closed doors, got his blunt stick and drinking a Henny, pumping his fist with the views. Vern, I saw you commented he got 10 million views. It's up to 17 million views.
Jeez, from yesterday?
Yeah.
And
Dontrell also said, I just believe all of what Cat is saying. Vern, we're going to go for 10 minutes. So give me your points. I'm going to give you my points, and we're going to go from there. And I'm going to double check the views.
Give me your points first, man.
You want me to go first?
Yes, I got things I want to say, but.
Okay.
This way. I just put it this way. I have just to be fair, I've seen up to like an hour and a half. Okay. So whatever happened after that, I haven't seen yet. It's a lot going on. However, the things that he's saying about the entertainment industry and people in it, I kind of got to side with my boy Cat.
So I just checked right now. It's at 19 million views right now.
Oh my goodness. 19 million views. Crazy. So I got to go with my boy Cat. And the reason why is because, one, to me, Cat Williams is one of those genuinely funny people. I think it's Pimp Chronicles 2, when he's at the green velvet blazer. I still think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I remember watching that drink the first time, and my stomach was going crazy. So when he talks about people, when he's talking about the interview, I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. He's not really saying anything that's not truthful, right? Of course, it's his opinion, it's his flavor, and it's his spin on it. But when someone's been in the game the way he's been in the game and putting in the work that he's been putting in, you got to respect their opinion. It's almost like Cam Newton. When he make those comments, it's like, yeah, people's like, oh, what the heck is going on here? But remember, he played the position at a very high level, got to the biggest stage, so his opinion is worth something. So to me, it's like what he was saying about Cedric and Steve and the clicks in Hollywood, it all makes sense, right? Because you're like, why are certain people getting this and why are certain people in this bucket? And you're like, because certain people who not funny, like, I don't think Tiffany Haddish is funny at all. I never thought Tiffany Haddish was funny. And you're like, well, what's happening here? Like the whole Steve Harvey and the whole how they try to portray or try to put different people in different positions to force certain roles and ideas and things like that. I think it's all has some validity to it. Some things he was capping on though. Like he said he read 3,000 books.
Yeah.
Year. And you're like, bro, if you were to if you did nothing else, didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't do nothing, you couldn't have time. Now, he might be calling a book like an article, right? If he's thinking of it like, if I'm reading for information, right? You can go on CNN and you can read like 7 articles in 15 minutes, depending on lift, complexity, etc. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But there's no way he's talking about these things behind me. There's no way he's talking about those 3,000. I can guarantee you that. So I think there was a little bit of embellishment there. But you take it with a grain of salt, but I think for the most part, he was kind of spot on.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things he exaggerated, like the book comment. I think we all know he exaggerated that because as a kid, your life isn't going to be consumed by books. Like you're going to have other things that you want to do. And he himself said when he was young, he played sports. So there's no way that you were an athlete and reading that many books in one day. It's just not enough time in the day. No. I think this is the genius in Cat Williams, and this is what's really causing the debate, right? When people say, oh, I believe everything he said, or people say he's capping, what he did that was so smart in this was that he led with facts. And when you lead with facts, it becomes very difficult for somebody to question if you're telling the truth or not. When he led talking about the situation with Ricky Smiley, he is telling the truth because I've heard Cube say himself, Ice Cube in a previous interview said himself that not only was the character of Money Mike kind of created by Cat Williams, but that he gave Cat Williams a lot of creative control over that character. And then Ice Cube himself had even started putting out clips, I think about 2-3 years ago when everybody made a big stink about Is There Going to Be Another Friday, where he was showing like the improv of not only Cat Williams, but Mike Epps. So if you're telling me that the creator, writer, and director of the movie is telling us that Cat Williams pretty much created this character and had the freedom to improv it, then I find it hard to believe that the character was for anybody else. It was Cat Williams. And so it's important about Ricky Smiley and all that. So I think that's a big part of it. I also think the whole Cedric situation coming up now, the fact that we see this old joke circulating showing that Cedric stole it from him. When you lead with facts, it becomes very tough to discredit anything else you're saying. You know, so I can't discredit the other things you guys are saying because you're leading with facts, and the facts prove that you're telling the truth right now. To your other point as well, we know how Hollywood works to a certain extent. We know that there is favoritism. We know there are chosen ones. We know there are people that they will force feed pause down your throat for you to like them. Pause. You got it. That's why I gave the pause before I even said it.
That was a crazy one, though. That was a crazy.
But
crazy one.
Right. But to your point, like Tiffany Haddish, I don't think she's that funny. I never was the biggest fan of Kevin Hart either.
No national stage level.
Right. But Hollywood will force feed you some people, and they will make it seem as if this is the next great, entertainer, when the masses may feel like, nah, I don't really mess with that person in that way. So shout out to Will Gordon. I see him in the comment section. I just think that a majority of what Cass said was true. There was some capping in there. I think until somebody comes out and is able to really discredit what he said and with facts, we got to take it for what it is, because everyone else has been able to speak their truth, and now he's speaking his truth on it. And I think some of his truth matches up. We see already the situation with Cedric the Entertainer. Ice Cube has already confirmed that what Cat did with that character was a one of one. Nobody else could have done that. So until somebody tells me something different, it's hard for me to discredit. Yeah, his reading 3,000 books, that's bullshit. We know that's bullshit. His whole, I can go out there and run a 4.240. No, you can't. You never in your life run a 4.240.
Yeah, of course he's clear. I think also Cat Williams knows that when he says the thing, you clearly know I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. I mean, it's a little bit of satire, a little bit of humor, a little bit, because he's still a comedian at the end of the day. But the one thing no one can ever say about Cat Williams is that he's not funny.
Yeah.
You can't go out there and say he's not funny. Like, he is funny. He's very funny. And Yeah, so like the whole Harvey Weinstein thing was a little wild, a little crazy. I mean, it was a lot of things from the interview. I'm gonna finish watching it.
Yeah. Will, I do apologize, Will, because we actually getting ready to wrap up. We're already 30 minutes over, so I didn't want to drag it out, but we will. We can definitely continue the conversation. We'll shelve some of it. I will say one other thing. Damn, it made me lose my train of thought. I was gonna say about Kat, in the joint and everything. But shout out to Pooh. She said it's crazy how people got to do wild sexual shit to make it. Then the director saying he would give him head. That's a fact. I think over and over we've seen that in Hollywood. Some people have compromised themselves for fame. One of the things I remember now that Kat said that is true. We've seen many of celebrities who, once they get the platform and they get the accolades and they get the money, then turn into the type of people that when you ask them questions is like, well, I can't speak about that right now, or I don't have enough knowledge of that, because they don't want to compromise what they've already achieved and accomplished. And that's the Cat's point, that certain people get that platform and then you can tell that they are backed by the machine where they don't want to speak on certain topics. Kevin Hart actually did it when, I don't know if you saw the clip circulating. Kevin Hart was part of that Inside the NBA moment on ESPN where Pat Bev asked him about the Josh Giddey situation. And Kevin Hart said, well, I got major sponsors. I can't speak on that.
They bought.
Yeah.
And that's really what Cat Williams' whole thing is like, look, I'm out here doing my thing and nobody can tell me what I can't talk about or what I can't speak about or anything because I am me.
Right.
And no one can take now. A new tour. Cat Williams got to go on tour. Now I feel as though Cat Williams' comedic genius has declined a little bit over the years, but I think maybe this might be another spark for him to maybe go on another tour. I know he's a little bit older now; he might not want to do it, but I would love to, maybe go in person when he come to DC.
Yeah, Will. This will lead to more gigs and more stuff. We're gonna wrap up on that note. Will Gordon, I promise you, we can get into this next week as well because there will be so much more dialogue. And I know Vern has already said I haven't even watched the whole interview yet. There's still another half of the interview I haven't watched.
You can't jump in. That jump was funny.
Yeah. So we will get into this next week. We'll make sure that we save some of these comments for next week, guys. So we'll get into that. For my brother Vernon Brownlee, I am Eric Sanchez. Shout out to Will Gordon. Will be with us next week. So we got a lot to get into, man. But again, we are the opinionated ones. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend, man.
See you later.